welcome back to my channel. Today's video, as you can tell by the title of the video, is a pretty emotional one for me. Like, I don't know how I'm feeling about it yet. I don't know. We're taking it day by day. But as you can tell, Sydney and I's journey of breastfeeding has come to an end. She is about to turn 16 months. So we made it 16 months. I mean, that is something to be super proud and happy and celebrate. But at the same time, it's, you know, a little sad to know that, like, she doesn't need me for that anymore, and our journey has come to an end. I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey from beginning up until now. I'm going to talk a little bit about transitioning from breast milk to whole milk, kind of what I've done as far as routine goes, transitioning from bottles, talking about kind of summing up it all, basically summing up the last 16 months of nursing and where we are at today and how I transitioned, how I weaned. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed to my channel. I make mommy and baby and toddler, now that she's 16 months, toddler videos all the time. I do for mommy and me vlogs all the time. If you want to follow my journey, I would love to have you a part of my channel. Give the video a thumbs up and make sure your notifications are turned on. And without further ado, let's just jump right into this video. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. First of all, I'm gonna leave all of my breastfeeding videos down in the description box below, as well as like an iCard of my playlist for breastfeeding videos. For those of you who have not been following my journey or don't remember or whatnot, let's just start from the beginning. Sydney was born at exactly 37 weeks and was 4 pounds 14 ounces. Don't know if this has anything to do with our struggles in the beginning, but she had a very difficult time latching. So when we were in the hospital, she basically would not latch. So I have a whole video on the first 2 weeks of breastfeeding and that journey. It was very stressful. I didn't want to give up, but it was very stressful and took a lot of effort and perseverance and persistence and just motivation and support. It took a lot to get through those first 2 weeks because it was definitely a lot of work. So I obviously check that video out below. If you are new to breastfeeding, you definitely want to watch that video, because to me, even now when I watch it, and even now I get comments and like messages saying how encouraging that video is to new moms and newly breastfeeding moms. So definitely watch that video if you are new to breastfeeding, because I think that will help you out a lot. You know, it can be hard and frustrating and scary. So to help her latch, we used a nipple shield, and we ended up using that for about 5 weeks. And then one day, I think I was like on a mommy group online, and someone was saying that they kicked the habit. I'm like, you know what, if they can do that, maybe Sydney will try to latch without the shield. So I tried to, I took the shield off and I just tried her a few times. And long story short, I kept trying for the next couple of days without the shield, and sure enough, in a few days, we were done using the nipple shield. So we used the nipple shield for about 5 weeks. I was very lucky. I had a great supply, but I started pumping because she wouldn't latch in the hospital. I started pumping in the hospital probably after 24 hours after she was born. So I started pumping with the hospital grade pump, and then when I got home, and I would pump after every single feeding. So every 3 hours, basically, I would pump for 15 minutes. And then when I got home, I kept doing the same thing. I would try to latch her with a nipple shield and get as much as she could with that. And then when she was done with that, I would pump and give her whatever milk that I pumped to feed. And then by day 3, I think 3 or 4, my milk started to come in and I got engorged like crazy. I ended up producing more than she would consume, so I started to store it in the fridge and in the freezer, and I built a crazy amazing supply. I have a whole video on how I would pump after every feeding and save my breast milk supply. I didn't go back to work until she was 4 months old, and I was still pumping every single day. I cut down from after about 2 weeks, I cut down from after every session to twice a day. I would do it in the morning after her morning feeding, then I would do it again in the afternoon after her feeding. And whatever I got up after her feeding through pumping was just extra, and I would store it. So I did that probably up until she was like 7 months old. And then when I went back to work at 4 months, when she was 4 months old, I would pump once at work and then once when I got home. So I would pump twice and then save that milk. Again, like I had a great supply. I would drink a ton of water. I would eat a ton of food, oats, like flax seeds, oats, I think beer, like yeast, brewer's yeast, helps a lot. I heard great things about mother's tea, but luckily I personally didn't have to do any supplementation. I just drank a ton of water, I ate a ton, and I was diligent from the start with pumping and feeding. I will link my pump down below. I'll link like the nipple shield. I'll link all my supplies down below in case you're interested. So I stopped pumping at work because I would only miss the one feeding at night around 7 months, and then I would pump at home. And then basically, you know, things happened in my life and I ended up kind of being done work when Sydney was, like full-time work when Sydney was 11 months old. So I didn't pump anymore. 16 months ago, guys, I'm trying to remember, but I do have these videos, you know, out there that I made while I was going through the journey. 11 months old, we were down to 3 sessions a day, once in the morning, once around nap time, and then once at night. But Sydney, ever since she was like a month old, did not rely on nursing to sleep. She would not fall asleep nursing. Now she did when she was a newborn, like super early, she would fall asleep nursing, and I would have to wake her up and then she would like fall asleep for the night and I would put her down. But she would not nurse to fall asleep, if that makes sense. Like she didn't rely on it to sleep. So that was kind of a crappy thing and a good thing in the long run as well. Honey, you're housing those. Those are not Cheerios. But we gotta get through this video, so what am I gonna do? When she hit a year, we cut down to just a morning and a night session because she, you know, was able to drink water and eating meals, yogurt and cheese and all of that good stuff. Yeah, yummy. Her pediatrician at her 1-year appointment okayed whole milk. So that day I came home and I gave her cold whole milk in a sippy cup just to see what she would do with a reaction, if she would like it. I didn't know. She drank it instantly because my kid eats and drinks anything. She has no taste buds. I did 2, a morning and a night, for about a month and a half, 2 months. And then on Easter, she woke up pretty late and we needed to get out the door. So instead of nursing her in the morning like I usually did, I just went straight to breakfast because it was breakfast time and I fed her breakfast. And then from then on out, I just skipped the morning nursing session, and I kind of, if she woke up super early, because I like to have breakfast a little bit later, like an hour after we wake up, I would just give her like a few ounces of cold whole milk in a sippy cup instead. Just recently, like I had a goal of cutting down a nursing session every month just to kind of wean her easily. That way it wasn't like a very abrupt like halt. I just weaned 1 session at a time. So at first I weaned her afternoon session, then I weaned her morning session, and now the night session. So the morning session was probably the hardest one to get rid of. I think it was just a very, you know, a ritual for forever, for 14 months. She was 14 months when I got rid of the morning session and went down to just once a day, because she kind of whined and like tapped my chest like, wait a minute, why are we not doing this? But then once I gave her the whole milk, she was fine, and you know, now is completely fine. So I recently went back to work for a couple of shifts, and I left a note saying, you know, use up my freezer breast milk and just put it in a cup for Sydney to drink at night. Not a bottle or anything. I actually never had to give her whole milk in a bottle. She always drank out of a sippy cup perfectly fine. So she hadn't had a bottle in about 3 months. So when I went back to work, I just said, put it in a cup. You know, she hasn't had a bottle and she's fine, so let's try a cup. And the message got misconstrued, and that person ended up giving her whole milk in a cup instead of breast milk, and she was fine. She went right to bed, and I'm like, I got home that night, I'm like, oh my god, my baby didn't have breast milk for the first time in 15 months, like what? But then I'm like, wait a minute, she's sleeping, she slept great, she's fine. For the next week, I still nursed her at night when I was home with her, because I just personally was not ready to mentally just stop the baby phase, to stop it. It's funny, I cut out her morning session on Easter, and then I cut out her last night session on Memorial Day, so like always a holiday. We got home from my mom's pretty late and she had a very late dinner. Usually I would feed her dinner at 5 and then do a nursing session right before bed around 7, and then she'd go down to bed. So because she ate dinner so late and I was already on my mind that I was, you know, we were weaning and gonna end breastfeeding soon, I just thought, I mean, she's full. She's not gonna drink much breast milk anyway, so I might as well just put her down without nursing. And that's what I did. Originally, I had a plan on breastfeeding for 6 months, and then after that, I was like, okay, now that we've made it to the 6-month mark, let's make it to the year mark, and then she can have whole milk and we'll be done. I never wanted to breastfeed for a very long time. Like, it just wasn't my thing. For me, I was like, you know, once she makes it to a year, she can have whole milk, I want to be done. But then once we made it to the year mark, I'm like, okay, let's slowly wean, A, for myself and B, for her, even though she didn't need it. Just because, I don't know, like, she was so small still, and I don't know, it was probably mostly for me, not even for her. But Memorial Day hit and it just, like, that night happened. And then after that, the next night I ended up working, so I didn't nurse her. And then the third night I was home was going to be like, okay, we've been 2 nights, she's been 2 nights without having a nursing session at night in a row, so why not just be done with it? So that's where kind of it happened. I feel like I've heard that a lot too. You never know when your last session is gonna, oh, now I'm gonna get emotional. I thought I would be okay, but now I'm getting emotional. I guess they all say, like, you never know when your last session is your last session. You're not like nursing saying, this is our last session. Ugh. I thought I would be fine because I feel like I've been fine. I feel like I've been fine, like, knowing that she isn't nursing, but now that I'm talking about it, it gets, like, really emotional, I guess. I should have worn waterproof mascara. It's definitely hormonal. Like, I noticed when I cut down to just 1 session a day, I felt like I was gaining weight because you're not burning as many calories. I felt like I was super emotional, like cranky. I guess because it's been a week and I haven't really like talked out loud about it much, or faced the fact that like that's done, that's why it just hit me like that. But anyway, I guess the reason why I chose to be done at 16 months was because I knew my daughter didn't rely on it and didn't need it to fall asleep and beg for it and scream for it. Like, yes, she still taps my chest, you know, once in a while. She's like, hey, what about that? But she loves her whole milk, so she's completely fine and content with it. Physically, like, she's getting big, and to me, it was just kind of like a nuisance, kind of like, I'm so over it. I don't want to have to be tied down. I don't know. It was never... Like, I loved and I enjoyed breastfeeding, but there was a lot of times throughout our journey where I was like, this is annoying. I don't have the convenience of just feeding her whenever. I have to wear specific clothes, wear specific bras, and sit down and just like be a slave to breastfeeding forever. There were moments where I definitely was like, this is annoying. I'm so glad I'm doing it for the health of my baby and the health of me, and the fact that I'm able to do it, and so many women would die to breastfeed and like beg to be able to be strapped down and have to nurse all the time. Like, I will never take for granted the fact that I was able to nurse my baby for 16 months. You know, she never had to drop a formula, and I'm so appreciative and grateful for that. The fact that we were able to have that bonding experience, and I was able to provide for her with my own body for so long. Like, such an emotional, amazing feat. And I'm not saying breastfeeding is better than formula, because hello, as long as your child is not starving, it doesn't matter. I just personally was able to, and am very grateful that I was able to. But anyway, that was a little sidetrack. But anyway, I just wasn't one of those. I didn't want to breastfeed until she was 2. I feel like I look at her physically, I'm like, she's so big, and if she can ask for it and bite me and hurt me and whip my boob out whenever she wants, it was just, for me, I didn't want that. So I was ready, and then knowing that she was ready and fine was what made me make that decision that we were done. And now she drinks probably 12 ounces of milk still. I feel like it's hard to get her to get to the 16 ounces because she eats so much food. They do recommend about 16 ounces of milk a day, at least that's what my pediatrician recommended to me. So anyway, that's my journey. I'm sorry to get emotional and cry on here. I feel weird. I always feel weird crying on camera. I'm gonna end this video here. I really hope I wasn't like so all over the place. I just wanted to talk about me ending this journey, where I'm at, and her. It wasn't this big long process that it could have been, and I'm very thankful for that as well, because I know a lot of times it's a big process, you know, half milk, half breast milk, warm it up, keep it cold, try this, try that. Like, it wasn't a big process for us, and I'm very thankful for that. As far as my boobs go, they're finally not flat and saggy and stretch marky, like, because I'm not super engorged, but I'm definitely full because it's been, today's day 7. I guess I should say they're back to where they were before I got pregnant, before they got like super honkin' huge. They're definitely not engorged like they were in the beginning. When they get engorged, they're like hard and square and they're leaking from everywhere. They're not like that or anything, but they, you know, after she would nurse, my boobs would be just so deflated and like saggy and just nothing there, like no oomph, no tissue to hold them up. So I'm really hoping they don't go back to saggy, but I'm sure they will. So yeah, so they're full, a little bit, tiny bit uncomfortable. They're nothing crazy. I don't have to pump to relieve them or anything like that, because we did take out 1 nursing session at a time, and then for the last 2 months we've only been doing 1 nursing session. It was a very gradual change, so I'm not uncomfortable really. I'm not engorged, but my breasts are at least like a little bit plump, so that's a plus. If you are in the process of weaning, or you have, and you know, leave some comments down below, some suggestions to moms, you know, if you've struggled with transitioning from breastfeeding, leave some comments down below, because I know I want to help out some moms out there who I know aren't gonna have this easy of a transition like we did. So let's help some other moms by leaving comments down below. Give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Make sure you check out all of my other breastfeeding videos if you are new in this breastfeeding journey, so that they can help you out there. And I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.